big screen. Now that we've got our big screen back where it belongs. Oh, we just lost her.
Yep.
Brooke was there.
I can still
Oh,
hear
never
you.
mind. I was on the wrong screen.
No.
I have the other Jitsi open in case people go to it by accident, like Brandon and such. Okay.
It's a lot of emails you got there.
Oh, yeah. That's just one account, and I have over 30 active daily accounts. So, not to mention all the other accounts. So, that's why I get buried in administrative stuff. That's why I need help from all of you wonderful people. All right, hello and welcome to RPG Research. Today is Applied Gaming. Now, we first, on Mondays, do our administrative meeting. So the first half hour to an hour or so, it depends. Sometimes it's only 15 minutes. But the first part of it is we're just going to be catching up on administrative stuff. We're a 501c3 nonprofit studying the effects of all role-playing game formats and their potential to help improve lives. We do both research and community programs. Mondays and Thursdays we alternate between discussion of RPG theory and various theories related to role-playing gaming and applied gaming, where we actually run games, whether it's our Game Masters training or whether we're trying out different games for various reasons, whether we're evaluating them for our programs or looking at different pieces and parts. Like tonight we're doing Twilight 2000, which is a classic game from the 80s. It's a military survival game. It has elements that are pretty distinctive to the game itself that you don't see in other games. And so most of the volunteers have not played Twilight 2000 before, and it was back in the 80s and 90s when I was running groups regularly back then. It was the second and third favorite game. So it's usually, MERP was the most popular, Middle-earth role-playing, closely followed by Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Edition, and closely followed by Twilight 2000. And then Call of Cthulhu also. So there was kind of between Call of Cthulhu and Twilight 2000, they vied for the third favorite position. And a lot of people don't know Twilight 2000. The history changed with the fall of the Berlin Wall in '91, and this was written before that and assumed that the Soviet Union still existed. And so now it's considered an alternate reality game. But it is a realistic role-playing game as opposed to a lot of the others that incorporate superheroes, supernatural, horror, fantasy, sci-fi. This is just a military survival game, and you start out usually in Europe by default and try to survive on the land and role-play and all of that. It's kind of deadly mechanically. There's no magic to heal you. There's no sci-fi to heal you. So if you get shot, it takes a long time to heal. And so the nice thing about it, it has a pretty gritty combat, easy but gritty combat system. It encourages people to role play and be creative about how they survive rather than just go around shooting things because the bad guys shoot back. And I say bad guys in quotes because this is not necessarily a heroic game. People choose different paths. Some become marauders, others, are just trying to escape, and others do go out and try to defend the people being oppressed. It's very open-ended that way. It's a very sandboxy game. There are modules, but the modules usually describe locations with all of the people there that you can run into and all the politics going on. And there are missions that you could do in trade for them, but again, it's a very sandboxy game. It lets people have a lot of freedom. Anyway, before we do that, we're going to go ahead and take care of our administrative stuff. And we'll start with, and so the first part is welcoming a new volunteer. I don't think let me see, are you on camera? Kind of. We need to adjust. It's this one there. Yeah, there you go. That's loose. So, this is Ryan. Ryan, welcome. He is one of our latest new volunteers to join RPG Research. We just interviewed him yesterday, and you originally you were in New York City for a long time.
Right.
Are you from there originally, or?
So I'm from Jersey. But
From Jersey, okay.
Yeah.
You don't have a thick accent.
I try not to. Very hard.
I've known quite a few people from New York and New Jersey, and they've usually had pretty thick accents.
Yeah,
So-
my wife does. Hers comes out like instantly.
Real heavy, okay.
Yeah.
And then you lived a few years in Portland.
Correct.
And then now you've been here a couple of years in Spokane.
Yes.
And you're working towards Game Master 1. and you're working, your day job is as a realtor, as a new realtor, and we're hoping that goes well for you here.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed the market doesn't crash, you know, just as you're getting into it. I mean, if you already have the money, that's a great opportunity to buy.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
But as a realtor, you want to be able to sell, and,
Yes.
and that can be a little rough. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for you on that.
Thanks.
So Ryan will be showing up for these various sessions. He'll be, you know, kind of learning how we do things. We got paperwork to do. Brooke, you should have an email for both Ryan and for Jonathan,
Yes.
asking you to send them with their email addresses, send their paperwork. I did scan in Ryan's driver's license here, and next time you're here, try to bring your social security card and get that scanned in. And I did send you, Brooke, a link. I went ahead last night and today and created a list with everybody's emails. And
Yep.
you notice we've got some good numbers on our the list of volunteers. If you saw that page.
Yep, I sent out the evite for the potluck to primarily everybody's RPG research emails, but for the few that didn't have it, they should
Right.
receive those as well.
Okay, good. And a few that I listed, like the newer folks, that's their future email. It may not actually exist yet. So make sure that for
Right.
those newer ones that you use their other email. Yeah, we're doing, and now, which day are we doing this?
This
Next Sunday.
This coming Sunday?
Yep, the
Okay.
11th.
All right, so this 11th, we're doing a little potluck because we've had so many new people. A lot of people haven't met each other. And so we had a request by both one of the Twitch players and his wife to do a little potluck get together to kind of get everybody to meet. Now, obviously, people who are out of the state and out of the country, you know, maybe we'll remote them in or something if they want, but at least we'll be able to meet the people who are local. We hope. We'll see who can make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, let's see, pull up that page. Let's see, so two. So you guys who do have accounts, if you go to www.rpgresearch.com, under the staff folder, there's now a list of everybody's contact info. You can only get to it if you're, you know, on the staff. You'll eventually have access to that. I got to change my network settings here. That's why it's not coming up. Because I switched networks. The Wi-Fi in here is bad because we're clear in the garage. If you're cold, let me turn on the heater. It's underneath the table.
I'm actually
I'm-
so, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you got a jacket on.
Sure.
I'm a furnace, so I like it chilly, but I've had a number of people comment, so it's right here. Got that going. Usually it's feet, so that's why I kind of put it under there. And so he's working towards his GM level 1. So right now you're a red shirt. We talked about the color codes. Riley, by the way, broke 100 hours recently, Brooke. And so he is now level orange, and we'll have to do some ceremony to get him his orange badge or whatever. At some point we'll do the sash thing. That'll be great. Is that our connection or yours that keeps glitching?
That's a wonderful picture
I
to stay
don't
on.
know.
Yeah, it just kind of starts and stops. I don't know how which is. I rebooted the network and the laptop, but
Okay.
it keeps.
Well, let
hanging.
me try and get back in. I can't see you guys. So
Well, I
maybe
don't. Yeah, I wasn't
you're-
sending video. Just I was trying to save bandwidth by not sending video.
Yeah.
I'm going to close the other Jitsi. That might be contributing. All right, go ahead. We'll both refresh.
Okay.
And then we do use Discord, so you're going to get an invite for Discord as well. I don't know if you're familiar with Discord.
Yeah, a little.
Okay.
You know, use it just for
Yeah.
the user side, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a chat
Yeah.
chat area. And then Jonathan is our new research assistant 1, so he'll be our 4th, I think, that's being onboarded now. One of them, our 3rd one, Angela, is in North Carolina, and the hurricane took out her house, like flooded her house. So they've been dealing with the mold and everything. They got the whole downstairs is ruined.
Yeah.
So she'll be a while before she can get in. She had just finished, just as we started to onboard her, she just finished her, I think, her master's in psychology.
Oh wow.
And so she was waiting to hear back on doctoral school, and was going to work with us at least for a year, and have research experience, and maybe even continue that when she worked on her doctorate. And then this happened, and so that's rough. So we're wishing the best for her and her family during that rough time. And then Omar is in Saudi Arabia, although he commute. He frequently goes to England and Egypt, and so he's half Egyptian, half Saudi Arabian. He gives us some wonderful insights culturally about some significant differences between Saudi Arabian culture and Egyptian culture related to gaming.
Nice.
And and then we have Eric, who is local here in Spokane as well. And so we do the researcher meetings from 9 a.m. to noon, and that's in-depth research stuff. Jonathan's coming on board, I believe, also with either finished or working on his master's in psychology as well. And I'm a little fuzzy. I got to see his paperwork, whether he's out of Michigan or out of Indiana. I'm a little fuzzy on that right now, but he'll be a remote researcher as well. And then I thought James was going to be here, but he was. We have a new Twitch artist who joined us Sunday. It's going to take him a little bit to get the hang of it. Even experienced artists, it's a challenge to draw on the fly. He is not super. He's got 15 years of drawing, but he has no formal training or anything. But we're giving him a shot, and we're excited to have him on board. And he talked about maybe coming tonight, but it might have been too little notice for him to arrange with people. And he might show up. We'll see. You never know. But hopefully we'll see more of him. So that's 3 new volunteers just Sunday alone that now I'm scrambling on getting the accounts onboarded and everything else. But each time we do this, we get it streamlined a little bit more and a little bit more. John texted he won't be able to make it. He's working till 9. So I'm glad that Ryan made it, so at least you've got 3 players for the game tonight. Drake has opted out.
Okay.
So I'll be the GM tonight. Brooke, what do you have on the agenda that you need to cover tonight? Now that I brought the new volunteer list up. Oh, and one other, because we always cover volunteer update. Lillian is going to continue doing Sundays for Twitch, but she has been too overloaded with school and work. She's going to step out of the GM1 training until January, she said. So she's not quitting, but she's sick right now. She didn't make it to Twitch yesterday because she was really sick and she lost her voice, and so she's feeling overloaded. And we've been worried about that because she's been overloaded for a while when school started back up. This happens a lot with students. So hopefully she'll get back in the program in January, fingers crossed. But just that's where she's at. And then I've got another 20, I just did another 20 applicant follow-ups today, volunteer applicants today. Some going back to September, but I'm mostly caught up now on our applicants as far as doing the back and forth. I don't have any new interviews scheduled this week yet. I'm waiting to hear back from those applicants. And as far ranging as China and elsewhere. Oh, we have another new one, which you already know about, Brooke, which is Daniel from Brazil. And I was a little worried. I've been out of the loop with him. I need to get him back in the loop. That's probably more my fault than his. He's also GM1, but he actually wants to do everything. Like, he wants to do this professionally for a living. He wanted to do it through the LLC, but I've told him the LLC is so backlogged right now that it's better to just do it through the nonprofit for now. And then, and then the good news, you know how the online education platform's been broken forever?
Is it finally fixed?
Well, I got locally on my dev server here at the house, I finally got it up and running again on my own server. So it broke on GoDaddy servers, and they couldn't do anything. Somebody screwed up. Either an admin screwed up or a hacker deleted everything. Now, luckily, there were automated backups, but we couldn't get them to work because GoDaddy won't update their MySQL database server, and so we can never get it working. And so I've been wrangling for months trying to take these backups and bring them to life on my server, which is a very different layout than GoDaddy's, because theirs was a shared hosting. But I finally got it working 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago, and I finally got it working on my dev server. The snapshot, it goes all the way back to March, but that's when things started to go wrong anyway. That should be all current students, and it should be, there's the possibility if you took any of the classes after the end of March that you're going to have to retake your quizzes. And I'm sorry for that. I don't have any way around that. But hey, it's a refresh. After being down for almost 6 months, it'll be good to refresh. But I'm hoping if all goes well, I'll get, because it's way out of date on the upgrades. That's part of the problem is I couldn't upgrade because of GoDaddy. I couldn't get the security fixes in place. That's why we're not sure it wasn't a hacker that deleted it. We don't think any data we know no data was compromised, but somebody maliciously, or a GoDaddy admin screwed up and deleted the whole thing. And there's no credit card data or anything like that in there. That was all handled through PayPal, so we keep all that safe. So all these people who paid for those classes through the LLC, I'm restarting everybody's clock. Everybody knew this was kind of a beta launch, so everybody's been patient. So I'm restarting their clock at 0. So a lot of them, if they paid $25, they got 6 months of access. If they paid like 30, they got a year, and if they paid like 50, they got 2 years or something like that. I forget exactly what the prices were, but I'm starting their clock at 0 once it's live. So hopefully by the end of this week, the platform will be back online. Volunteers who've been with us for a while get free use of the online learning platform, and it's how on our theory days we do our quizzes. You go online and take the quizzes and such. A lot of times we just do verbal quizzes,
Right.
but sometimes I'll say, okay, everybody, cover this topic, here's the quiz, have it done by next week or something like that. So that is finally looking like it'll be back online, so that's a big deal. Okay, Brooke, what do you have?
Just two things. So do we have coverage for Spark Central on Friday? Isn't that this Friday?
I will be there, John will be there, Katie cannot because of her new contract, and that is all I know so far. Riley will be there, okay. So we've got John and myself, but really that's just John since I do the observational. Dan, you still can't?
Still can't.
Okay.
Not until work changes that I
Okay.
can come in on Sundays,
All right.
Saturdays.
And since Lillian had been starting to be able to help, but because she's on overload,
Yeah.
we don't have her. The new guys can't do that. Now you're welcome to come to it
Right.
and observe, and I can start introducing you to it. And you can even be a player to start getting familiarizing yourself. So it's a great way to come get training.
Yeah.
You just won't be able to run the games
Right.
yet, and you'll have to fill out a little bit of paperwork specifically for Spark Central.
Gotcha.
Is that something you'll be able to make?
What time is it on Friday?
4 to 7.
Ooh, 4 to 7.
Yeah, we have to be out sharply at 7.
Yeah. Can I get back to you
You bet.
tomorrow? Yeah, I just want to talk to
Of
sure
course,
it's cool with
of
that.
course. And that's every Friday, 4 to 7. We're either, so the second and fourth Fridays we're at Spark.
Right.
The first Friday is whatever location we figured out with the bus and the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And the third Friday is the Spokane Library, County Library right here on Hawthorne and Division,
Gotcha.
just off of Division. So that's the third Fridays, but it's 4 to 7, 14. Now, we try to show up a half hour before, just like here, to set up and get ready.
Yeah.
So if possible. Now, you don't have to do that yet, but when you game mastering, you do.
Gotcha.
Just so you know. So just let me know. I still haven't heard back from everybody about, I've been trying to find an alternate training day to get all our game masters to show up. And I've barely heard back from, I've heard from John, Brad says this current schedule will work once he gets past his current situation. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Haven't heard back from Danielle. She's finished her internship. She hasn't responded yet either. John's already doing plenty. He's already doing the existing schedule. He'll adjust if needed, if I decide to change a day. I haven't heard back from you
I'm still
on what a better day would be.
trying to recover from Florida
Okay.
in terms of
Okay, but I need to know what would work.
Oh, yeah.
If the existing schedule would work, but it doesn't seem to be for GM training day.
yeah. I mean, I'm thinking Saturday may be the best day,
Okay.
but I need to feel out exactly because
Yeah.
on Saturdays
with your wife and everything.
yeah. Saturday we tend to do errands.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
And Saturday it's only in the morning or early afternoon. I can't do it later because
Right.
I've got date night with Katie and all that anyway. So that's sacrosanct. I learned from my first marriage: don't drop date night. That is a mistake. I let work get in the way too much, and I won't repeat that mistake. Brooke, I don't know if you know, I finally formalized the engagement last week with Katie before she left town. So finally got on my knee, bended knee, and gave her the ring. And we were already set for 4th of July next year. Already had the place set and paid for, but I had not formalized it with a ring, and I finally did that last week. So yeah, we've been going together.
I knew you had a venue and a date,
Yes.
so I assumed it already
No, we had worked it all out in advance. We've been going out for over 10 years, but I had not formalized it with the ring, and that was clearly becoming an issue. So I finally took care of that. So Sometimes it takes me a while to get to things in the right order here, but I get there eventually.
And 4th of July will be an easy day to remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it turns out another friend of mine got married then too, about 10 years before. His name's Leif. It's actually Leif, but he prefers to go by Leif. He's half Norwegian, half Colombian. And
It's an interesting combination.
So he looks Colombian, but he's very tall, right? Because Colombia's not very tall. He's like 6'3" or so. But his mother's like blonde Norwegian, right? It is quite interesting. And he married a woman from China, who's a software. They're both software. He's now in information security. He's finishing his master's in InfoSec, and his wife is a software developer. And so he spent a lot of years in China until he got run over by a motorcycle on the sidewalk, broke his hip. Because traffic is insane in China. They like rules. So, and that kind of ended his staying there, and because he needed better medical care, they were not giving him good medical care there, so he had to come back to the States. But he's been here, and then
I have a hard time believing that they couldn't see him.
but that doesn't matter if they can see him. You're supposed to get out of the way. You don't like the way I drive? Get off the sidewalks. So, anyway, and I saw him on the road trip coming back. In fact, he was one of the big donors.
Nice.
I still got to put these in the bank. I think $260 donation when I was coming up through, so that was very nice of him.
Okay.
But they got married on 4th of July. And I didn't realize how hardcore he was about this. I knew about his daughter was Liberty, and his son is Justice.
Wow.
And I said, so if you have a third kid, is it going to be for all? Liberty and Justice for all?
No, he needs
Or
to
just
have
all?
No. He needs to have two they're going to be twins. One's going to be fur,
Yeah.
and one's going to be
And
all.
all. There you go. So I was like, oh, you did it for like patriotic reasons. Katie and I did it because we're lazy. We do not. That's our dating anniversary. I was on a motorcycle trip, and that's when we first started dating, and so that was our dating anniversary. And she didn't want to have to remember 2 anniversaries. And I'm all for that. I'm like, oh, good. I don't have to worry about screwing up twice a year.
That actually reminds me of, like, me and my wife got married on, what is it? December, the end of the Mayan calendar.
Okay.
The day the Mayan calendar ended,
Right.
that's when we got married.
Right, the end of the world.
So you can thank us for continuing existence
Yes,
because
thank you.
the God said,
Did you do the sacrifices necessary to save the world?
oh, we've been doing nothing but sacrifices. But I figured the universe is like, okay, this is screwed up. I want to see how this turns out.
Okay.
And my wife is part Mayan, so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she's part Honduran, so there's some Mayan in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Anyway. But it's important. Everybody, needs to know that. So, Brooke, what did you have? Your 2 things that you wanted to cover? Sorry.
My second was just the potluck. I sent out that e-bite, so if people have any issues with it, just let me know. Respond to me, and I will update the things. But it's pretty easy. It's just through the e-bite program. There's a poll in there if you have any dietary restrictions. Please let us know so we can take that into account when bringing things. And then there's a list of things that you can bring, so just sign up for whatever item it is that you want.
Excellent.
Nice and easy.
Yeah. And I just realized you're not showing up here, so you're a disembodied voice. There we go. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay. And for Ryan... James, who's the Twitch artist, we don't really need to worry about the background check unless he ramps up his volunteering, because it's $50 a pop for background checks. For Ryan and Jonathan, hold off about 30 days. I think that should be our standard policy, that we hold off for 30 days, see how actively engaged they are, that they've finished their paperwork, etc., and they're showing up. And that seems like 30 to 45 days should be our buffer before we run a check, just so that we don't, because we had a couple people who ran checks on almost right away, and then they're like, oh, I didn't realize this was going to be so much work, I can't do this. Like, that was $50.
Right.
Ouch. Considering we only get about $100 a month in donations, that hurts.
Yeah.
Because anything that the organization can't cover, I cover out of my own pocket, and that's been a lot. So it's going to be February before I recover from the road trip financially, because that was like $7,000. It really. Oh well. Made some great connections, and we got the bus running a lot better. And yeah, in fact, I did the interview with Ryan in the bus.
It's a cool bus.
So yeah, and it still has some room for improvement, but it's coming along nicely. It's usable now. Was that it, Brooke? Was that all you had for this week?
Yep. I mean, I have some things that I need to do, but
Okay.
I also got that paperwork either tonight or tomorrow morning for the new volunteers, and
Yeah, if you can.
And I just need your guys' good thoughts. I have a job interview tomorrow.
Well,
so.
okay, good luck with that. Who's
Good luck.
Are you comfortable saying who at? I mean, you don't have to because we're broadcasting.
The regional health district. So.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
good luck with that. You're still at the other one though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But you're hoping for a little bit more reliable, stable situation.
Just different route that matches up better with my life goals.
Well, what are your life goals? I'm not.
I don't know, but this.
Okay.
That one would be closer.
Okay. Okay.
So you're just feeling it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels more than
Public health related.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Well, good luck. We're definitely
Thank you.
sending you good thoughts your way.
Yes.
And so Brooke is our volunteer coordinator, vice chair, and director of fundraising and marketing.
Very nice.
And she joined us. She was previously with the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Oh, okay.
So we're very fortunate to have her on board. We met because we did a program with her when she was at the MDA for the summer camp. That went great. We learned a lot, and it was a blast, and the kids had a blast, and so developed a rapport and ongoing connection.
Awesome.
And what's going on with the Wednesday group these days?
We're still meeting. We're gonna do a friends great giving the day before Thanksgiving. I mean, it's smaller. There's no like new people coming
Okay.
to the group.
And let me know when you get some new people, because the current group didn't seem particularly interested in our programs, either the drumming or the gaming. So I was kind of like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not sure what else I can do there. I want to keep that connection, with the MDA community and muscular dystrophy community. But it kind of felt like that wasn't the most productive use of our time at that point.
Right. Yeah.
I at least early on was able to learn through talking to them their various challenges and such that they have to deal with day to day, the accessibility issues. I think I got a pretty good picture of that, which was what was the most important part.
Yeah.
By the way, I did get an applicant who did not go through Indeed, but through the web for an accessibility advocate position.
Oh.
So that was one I put up not too long ago. They're specifically interested and they're out of Canada, and they already do gaming and some other, I think, therapeutic background, and they want to know more about training as accessibility advocates. So I'll keep you posted on how that evolves. You know that the 14th we're doing the presentation at Eagle Peak School, Alternative Schools, because they'd like to incorporate role-playing gaming into their program potentially. And a reminder, everybody, I will be at PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia December 1st on a panel about inclusivity and accessibility and such on that Saturday. I'll be there the whole 3 days, but so I'll be out of town that weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and so that Sunday I get back. Ooh, that's gonna be a problem for the Twitch show. We'll have to play that by ear. If my flight's on time, we might just have to do a 1 hour delay on the Twitch show. I think we can still make that work. If my flight's delayed, maybe I'll have John, because he's assistant GM, maybe I'll have him run as a substitute.
Or we could just prep John, and when you come in and take over.
Yeah, well, as I say, either way, I
Yeah.
can prep John because he's the assistant GM. By then, he should no longer be having to juggle Weevil and all of that, so he'll be back to NPCs and he can GM again. So we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
It's always play it by ear on these things. And then I don't have anything else until the end of the year for publishing the RPG. Well, okay. Also, that I have to finish before I go to Philadelphia is the book chapter on. Where is it? think it's in the other room. Facilitation techniques and role playing in therapeutic recreation for Professor Detillo out of Penn State. That's that 30-page book chapter. I gotta get that finished and get it to him because I'd like to give him the manuscript in person while I'm in Philadelphia. We'll see if that works out, but I gotta get that done. And then the end of December is when we're publishing the RPG Professionals Handbook. That's already on ISBN. It's got a copyright. It's got all that stuff. I've got to, just finish the process and then send it to the printers, and it's a lot of work. But no other events the rest of this year, and I don't really think I have any. So here's my thinking, Brooke, as far as events. I mean, if people invite us and they're going to cover costs, because I'm stretched too thin for the next few months after the road trip. I'm not going to be doing any more publicity events that are going to be expensive. Like this trip to for PAX is going to cost me about $1,000. I need to slow that down. My burn rate is too high right now. And I've got this backlog. I got to finish the WSU research project for the report. I got to get the EWU research project. I got to get these books done. I got to finish onboarding all these volunteers and the training and streamlining that. And we spent now over a year trying to do the fundraising and growth, and it hasn't grown, right? Our donations are pretty much the same as they were a year ago. Our volunteers are great. We're doing really well on that end. So we've had a lot of success on volunteer recruiting, and really because we're on a shoestring budget, that's our most important asset anyway. Yeah. Right? We're a pretty low burn rate. We run on a very low cost functionally. So we don't have to have a ton of donations to do what we do. We do need a lot of volunteers to do what we do. We need game masters, and we need researchers, and we need all the supporting staff for those two major branches. We need 10 active game masters, and it's a 3 to 6 month training period, or 3 to 9 month training period, really, to get GMs ready for that. So I'm going to be focusing more on going back to the core, and if people want to donate, it'll be there. Donation page is there. We have all the infrastructure in place for donations now, but I'm not going to be actively spending my time on fundraising. It hasn't paid off. And I'm getting further and further behind on what I need to be doing, which is the research and the programs, which is what we do. So if you want to donate, please do. rpgresearch.com, click on donate. You can do it through PayPal one time. You can do it monthly through a PayPal subscription, or you can do it through Patreon if you want to get special access and hero points and all that. So you can check that on the website. But I gave it a good solid. I mean, I really worked it for a year on the fundraising, and it just we don't have any of the fame right there. We don't have any fame. We've had the one tweet from Greg Tito out of Wizard of the Coast, and I was on their show back in January, and those are the two spikes we've had in traffic. But we don't have any celebrity. That's the word I was looking for. And until that happens, nobody knows who I am. I'm nobody, right? So at some point, we need to get some other people out there really helping beat the drum for the fundraising. I know how to make for-profit businesses make money. I've done that multiple times over and over the decades in multiple industries, both large and small. I know how to do that. That's no problem. I've been able to repeat that. Clearly, I don't understand the nonprofit fundraising thing. I'm not good at begging for money. I know how to run the company as a nonprofit, but I don't know how to beg for money properly. So, I think my time. I think we're all better served if my time is focused elsewhere. So hopefully, at some point, we can get some people on board that can help you, Brooke, with really getting out the word to help with the fundraising.
Yeah.
So, but as long as we can keep our 100 a month or so, that keeps us kind of limping along where we're at. It helps cover the administrative fees that we have to pay to the government to just exist as a 501c3, and the background checks occasionally. Although again, I cover those if I have to. So that keeps us going. We want to get to 1,000 a month so that we can afford to do some higher end research projects, because those cost just for the IRB waiver around $2,000 to $3,000 for one research project, just for a waiver. And you have to have at least a waiver if you want to get published in a journal. We can self-publish without that, but we also have to be careful about safety and everything, so you usually want that IRB. To do full IRB oversight can easily be $10,000. Now, that's not the research project itself. That's just the institutional review board. And that means we need about $1,000 a month to be able to afford to do something like that. And we'll get there someday. I'm in this for the long haul. I've been looking at this like I'm doing this till I die. And RPG Therapeutics LLC, 20% of all profits there are donated to RPG research. So one way or another, we'll continue. It's the volunteers that are key. Mm-hmm. And the better we streamline that. So I've been working this past week heavily on the infrastructure, because that's how we can scale to have a lot of volunteers internationally, is good infrastructure. And so I've been working hard on that, and it's coming along. So, okay. Anything else administrative anybody wants to cover? Brooke?
Nope.
Riley?
Nope.
Anything you can think of? Dan, anything you can think of?
Nothing right now.
Okay. Anybody online watching, which is probably nobody but us, because I know interesting administrative meeting. Ooh, but as I'm a big open source advocate, and we're a 501c3, and so I'm very much about open disclosure, and it's the meat grind. It's the sausage making. It's ugly, but it's boring. But for people who want to see how we operate, before they donate or if they're already donors, we have full disclosure here. We're very open. We only stop the streaming and recording if we have to discuss stuff that's private data, HIPAA, stuff like that. We have clients and such that we have to be careful about. Then that we'll stop recording and streaming to be compliant with that. Brooke, administrative, yes. The network here at the house is currently on Comcast Consumer. 55 megabits down, 5 megabits up. I am having it upgraded Thursday to business grade, which will be 75 megabits down and 15 up, which will hopefully help with some of our virtual office stuff. And I am slowly chiseling away at the HIPAA compliant server, the really secure servers for our data handling and all of that. So that's coming along bit by bit. The RPG education thing has been taking up a ton of my time, and I got to get that live. But then I'll be back to that. So just let you know, that is still progressing in drips and drabs. It'll probably not get finished soon because I've got to finish the book chapter for Datillo and the whole book thing and the PAX thing and the presentation at Eagle Peak. But every chance I get, I'm chiseling away at it. The servers are running now, and they're secure and tight. Now I'm adding features, and I'll let people know when I'm happy enough that we can start flipping the switch to using that.
So I'm guessing once we get past the backlog, you can upgrade from going bit by bit to byte by byte?
Correct. So I go from 1 bit at a time to 8 bits at a time. Or 64 bits, depending upon your infrastructure. Yeah. So, and Ryan, you do have some tech background, right?
Yeah, that actually made sense to me.
Luckily. All right, Brooke. Well, if there's nothing else administratively, we'll let you, unless you want a game with us.
No,
I
gotta
understand.
go eat dinner.
You bet. Enjoy. Thank you so much for everything, and we'll touch base with you. Well, we'll see you Sunday.
Yep. So see you
And
guys then.
remind me, what time was the potluck scheduled for? 3?
3.
3. Okay, good. I did remember correctly, but trust but verify. I've been slowly trying to fix up the house in time because it's been such a mess. Oh. Okay, thanks a lot, Brooke. Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, so I'll close that out, save on bandwidth, and guess we don't need that. Page, I guess we don't need that. Alrighty then, so I'm going to quickly stop and start the recording. I'll keep the stream going, but that way it'll be a separate file from we've now ended our administrative meeting. Now we're going to switch back to applied gaming. It is going to be Twilight 2000. We started making characters last Thursday. We're going to finish making characters today. Ryan is new here, so he's going to be trying to catch up on that because we want him to be able to play as well. You can play this game with 1 player. You can play it with 60 players. There's a lot of different ways to play it. It becomes more of a war grade game with large groups, but you can play this with anywhere from 1 on up players. The way it is geared, it's designed you can do that.
Okay.
So you can be a sole survivor, or you can be a whole platoon, whatever. It makes it possible to do. But the general rule is for most role-playing gaming groups, for keeping it going along fast enough, 4 to 5 players is the sweet spot. That means you potentially have a better vehicle or vehicles in your unit. You have redundancy, you have skills, you know, a better variety of skills for medical and all of that. So obviously that's a better balance. But it's not like D&D and the others where you must have these to survive the adventure. Because again, this is very sandboxy. I put you in the situation, these things are happening, and then you just got to get through it however it happens. And you have to deal with, you know, being surrounded by the military, trying to escape, survive the elements, get supplies by whatever means you decide is within your moral code that you decide for your character, and then decide what you're going to do once you escape. Now what do you do? Because you're out in the countryside and you have a lot of options. Like, do you try to get back home to the United States? You're here in Europe, you're stuck in northwestern Europe. Do you decide, no, you know, America's hosed too, I'm just going to try to live off the land? Are you going to become a marauder? Are you going to try to hook up with other military units? Are you going to become a mercenary? They're wide open. We lay out the scenario, the players decide. Events are set in the world. It's laid out in the game. Things are going to happen. Locations, I have many, many modules for each, like Warsaw and many other locations that are heavily detailed about all the politics and the crime lords that have taken over and the city-states and all of that you will come into. But they tend to be less, this is a far less railroady setting than a lot of other games. So it's very sandboxy. And so that's what a lot of players like about it, is that they have a lot of freedom to do what they want. There's no alignment. There is military code of conduct and how much you're going to follow that versus discard it now that, you know, things are in decline. So it brings up a lot of moral questions. So I'm going to stop the stream and then, stop the recording and start, and we'll be doing Twilight 2000.